A man steps off a ship. Nobody recognizes him. Nobody notices him. In his pocket, just 4 cents. A foreign city, a foreign language, a foreign world. But inside his mind, something no one can see, something no one can understand. That man is the mind behind every outlet you touch today, the screen you're watching, the light you turn on, every device you use. But here's what you need to know. That man never became rich. He never received an award. In the final days of his life, in a small hotel room, with pigeons on his windowsill and drawings on his desk, still trying to develop something for humanity despite having no money, he left this world. Why do some people lose everything and still win? The answer isn't in his life. It's in his mind. But before we continue, there's something you need to know. At the peak of his career, Tesla held a contract in his hands. That contract would have made him the richest man in the world. He tore it up. Why? Edison betrayed him. He ended up on the streets. He had to do manual labor just to survive. Then he came back and finished Edison. Did he become rich? No. Did he receive recognition? No. What did he have at the end of his life? A small hotel room and pigeons. So why does everyone know and admire Tesla today, while most people only know Edison's name and feel nothing but contempt for him? The answer isn't what you think. But first, if you appreciate the effort behind these videos, I'd ask you to hit that like button. Now let's start this story from the very beginning. He was born in a small village in Croatia, the son of a priest. Every night, his father did something unusual. No games, no bedtime stories. Memory exercises. Memorize long sentences. Predict what someone will say next. Find the logical flaw in this paragraph. Every day, every week, for years. But there was something that terrified Tesla. Flashing images in front of his eyes, scenes that felt real, memories of things that never happened. He could only talk about them with his family. His mother said, "Maybe your eyes are too powerful. Maybe your mind is too full." And that day, Tesla made a decision. Instead of fearing these visions, he would learn to control them. Every night, when he was alone, he began taking journeys through his mind. New cities, new machines, new worlds. He sharpened these images until he could no longer tell them apart from reality. What began as a disturbing curse became the most powerful mental laboratory in history. Most people hide their weaknesses, ignore them, bury them. Tesla turned his weakness into a weapon. As Tesla grew older, something else became clear. He was exceptional at mathematics. He would hear a problem and immediately say the answer. No calculations, no writing, everything computed in his head. His teachers didn't quite believe it. They assumed he was memorizing answers somehow. Tesla explained it like this: "I see no difference between running a machine in my mind and running it in reality. The result is exactly the same." He studied engineering in Austria, then Prague, then Budapest. The same thing happened in every city. Professors were amazed, exams felt pointless, and the education system began to feel meaningless to him. Because the system said go step by step. Tesla could already see the finished machine. One day in Budapest, while walking through a park, he suddenly stopped. He turned to his friend and began drawing something in the dirt with a stick. That was where the alternating current motor was born, in that park, with that stick. No paper, no calculations, no prototype, just images rising from the depths of his mind. Tesla boarded a ship from Europe. 4 cents in his pocket, a suitcase on his back, a letter addressed to Thomas Edison in his hand. You know Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific patent holders in history, the man who developed the light bulb, the phonograph, the telegraph, the motion picture camera, hundreds of inventions. But Edison had a secret. He wasn't the inventor. He was the man who employed the inventors. His laboratory had dozens of engineers. They would try, fail, try again. Edison managed the system. He managed the brand. He managed the money. Now, back to that famous letter. The reference letter said, "I know 2 great men. One is you. The other is this young man." Edison read the letter. He hired Tesla. The difference between the two was stark. Edison found things by experimenting. They say he made 10,000 attempts for the light bulb. Tesla never experimented. He would test thousands of alternatives in his mind, perfect them, and only then build. "This man is either crazy or a genius," said Edison. He was right on both counts. Edison made Tesla an offer. "Improve my direct current system, and I'll give you $50,000. In today's money, millions of dollars. Tesla worked. He didn't sleep at night, for weeks, for months. He redesigned the system from scratch, and he delivered. Edison laughed and arrogantly said, "You Avropians don't understand American humor." There was no money. There never was. The offer was nothing but a game, a trick he played on all his employees. Tesla couldn't stomach it. He resigned. And for a while, he worked manual labor on the streets of New York, digging ditches, trying to earn money for food, for shelter, for survival. The world's greatest electrical genius, doing manual labor on the streets. While digging those ditches, Tesla thought, "The forces that now oppress me will one day be in my service." So, what did Tesla actually achieve? He introduced the alternating current motor to the world. Let me explain it simply. Edison's system used direct current, DC. It was powerful, but could only carry electricity a few kilometers. Tesla's system, hundreds of kilometers. Today, nearly the entire world runs on Tesla's system. But Edison didn't give up, because Edison had millions of dollars invested in his DC system. Generators installed across cities, infrastructure, everything. If Tesla won, all of it would be worthless. Edison decided to fight not with science, but with fear. He had newspapers write, "Alternating current is deadly." He publicly electrocuted animals using AC to put on a show for crowds. He even supported the invention of the electric chair, so that AC's danger could be proven. This wasn't a war of science. This was a war of perception. Tesla? The Chicago World's Fair, the biggest event of the era. 27 million visitors. Tesla lit the entire fair using alternating current. That night, 27 million people walked beneath a system they'd been told was deadly. Edison had lost. The most powerful way to challenge a system isn't to argue against it. It's to prove it wrong. Tesla didn't say a single word to Edison. He simply lit up the world in front of 27 million people. The Westinghouse Company had purchased Tesla's system. The agreement was this: Tesla would receive $2.50 for every horsepower sold. Alternating current was now spreading everywhere, to cities, factories, entire continents. This figure would have made Tesla one of the richest people in the world. But Westinghouse fell into a severe financial crisis. Debts grew, and the agreement with Tesla was going to destroy them. Westinghouse came. He sat down at the table. He explained everything: the state of the company, his employees, their future. Tesla listened. He said nothing. He picked up the contract from the table and slowly tore it apart. He said one sentence. "You believed in me. That's enough. You owe me nothing." You could read this as foolishness. I read it differently. In that moment, Tesla told the world, "I don't create for money, and I don't stop for money either." Ego wants recognition. It demands what it's owed. It expects something in return. Tesla wanted none of it. He wasn't a man who rejected money. He was a man who rejected letting money define him. There's a mountain of difference between the two. Tesla began building a tower outside New York, Wardenclyffe. His plan. He had already created a future with alternating current, but that wasn't enough. He needed to go further. Wireless electricity, no cables, no meters, no bills, for everyone. Across the entire world, free. J.P. Morgan was financing the project. Who was Morgan? The most powerful banker of the era. Back then, when people said money, they meant J.P. Morgan. One day, Morgan sat down at the table and asked, "Can we put a meter on this free energy?" Tesla didn't understand the question. "Why would we? It's going to be free." Morgan stood up. "Then this isn't my business." Funding was cut. The tower was left unfinished. Tesla went bankrupt. You can't make money from free energy. And if you can't make money, the system won't allow it. Tesla's greatest enemy wasn't Edison. It wasn't Morgan. His vision was simply larger than what the system could carry. Some ideas arrive before their time, and their time cannot bear them. This wasn't Tesla's failure. This was history's tragedy. Years passed. Tesla, penniless, alone, in a small hotel room. No investors, no applause, just silence, and a few pigeons that came every morning. One was special, white. It came for years. One day, it didn't come. Tesla wrote that day. When that pigeon died, I felt that my life's purpose had ended. What do you feel when you hear that? A man who lit up the world. And at the end of his life, his purest connection was with a pigeon. Tesla had chosen not to form bonds, because every bond demands attention, every unit of attention costs energy, and every unit of energy is stolen from creation. Was this healthy? No, but it was his price to pay. Marcus Aurelius sacrificed his throne. Mandela sacrificed his freedom. Tesla sacrificed connection, fame, and money. At the age of 86, January 7th, 1943, a hotel room, alone. The FBI broke down the door and seized all of his notes. Years later, the world realized what it had lost. What do you work for? For recognition. Then you stop when recognition doesn't come. For money. Then you stop when the money runs out. To be seen. Then you disappear when no one is watching. Marcus Aurelius won the battle within himself. Muhammad Ali won the battle against the outside world. Mandela won the battle against the system. Tesla won the quietest and most brutal battle of all. The battle to free himself from the need to be recognized. And he paid the price in full. With loneliness, with poverty, with being forgotten. But today, the screen you're watching right now came from his mind. Those who change the world cannot always live in it. If you're misunderstood today, if your vision feels too big, if you're creating without recognition, Tesla has one thing to say to you. Keep going. The world will eventually learn your name. Until then, keep working. We'll continue our World Changers series next week. if you'd like to support everything that goes into bringing these stories and videos to life. Subscribing to the channel and liking our videos means the world to us. See you in the next one.